Good morning, all. Suburban Sentinel here, coming to you once again from very deep inside the Arabian Peninsula. And today I'd like to talk about finances. In my opinion, we Americans are about to be robbed once again by our government and the central banks and the colluding commercial banks that seem to be running the quote-unquote free world these days. Again, this is just my opinion, but I believe we are about to experience yet another massive transfer of wealth from ordinary people to banks and government agencies. So let's take a closer look at this. The world never really recovered from the financial crisis of 2008. Of course, we Americans bailed out the big banks by way of taxpayer funds that were created out of thin air by the Federal Reserve and the United States government. And this quote-unquote money never really helped the real economy. It just enriched a very few individuals, some big banks, and some wealthy corporations not involved in the banking business. As an added consequence, we have gigantic asset bubbles. The stock market went way up, the price of housing went way up, and in some other areas, prices just are at unwarranted levels for certain goods and services. Of course, these banks that were too big to fail in 2008, 2009 are even bigger. And in my opinion, we are going to have a financial crisis that will make the 2008 one look like small potatoes. When we have even more debt, more sovereign debt, more private debt, more corporate debt, this debt simply cannot be repaid. And when this thing blows, we are going to have a crisis of infinitely larger proportions than that happened in 2008. I do not believe that we will see another taxpayer bailout in the next financial crisis. First of all, printing more money would debase the currency so much that the currency created would be almost worthless. Second of all, another taxpayer bailout would be wildly unpopular with the body politic here in America. I think they will have a better way to do that. And essentially what they'll do is just go directly to the source and steal the wealth from the remainder of the middle class and just transfer it to, again, those same few very wealthy individuals, big banks, and major corporations. Again, this is just my opinion, but I believe that the elite power structures plan is to corral or net the vast majority of the average person's convertible wealth into the big banks and simply take it. They've already laid the foundation for the legal structure to do so. When you deposit money into a bank, that money no longer belongs to you. Essentially, you become a creditor. The bank gives you an IOU on the cash that you've deposited into the account. In addition, you are a lower priority creditor. Bondholders and other creditors have a higher priority in certain instances than actual depositors. Also, the legal framework for bail-ins, where a bank just goes in and seizes your money at will, have been created at the G20 summit and other regulations promulgated by the Federal Reserve. Of course, the average person has an incentive not to leave money in the bank, especially when they're paying little or even no interest, and there's even talk of rates going negative. So in essence, you would give your money to the bank and they would charge you for the privilege of loaning it out at much higher rates. But again, the banks are pretty crafty. They are doing everything that they can to make sure you have to keep your money in the banks. And what I'm referring to is what's being called the war on cash. The war on cash essentially means that you have to keep your money in the bank because there are no good alternatives. The government and the banks are making it harder to do business in cash, particularly with big ticket items such as equipment, motor vehicles, and real estate transactions. They are frowning upon doing those in cash and in some cases preventing it entirely. Some of the banks are limiting the number of cash withdrawals and the size of cash withdrawals from individuals' accounts. And many banks are now requiring that customers justify the reasons for large cash withdrawals. Moreover, there are many banks that simply will not allow you to keep cash in safe deposit boxes and the like. And the government is hassling with extreme audits and, in fact, seizures of funds for businesses that have a high volume of cash transactions, such as bars and restaurants. Essentially, this war on cash is to make sure that the government has control over business operations. In my opinion, this war on cash is for two reasons. One, so that the government can keep its big fat nose in your business and monitor all of your financial transactions. And two, to keep convertible wealth in the big banks so it can be seized at will. Of course, the government is going to say, oh, no, we're only doing these things to prevent money laundering. It's to prevent the drug cartels from operating and stepping on organized criminal activity. But in my opinion, that is just total bullshit. They want to know where your money is and be able to grab it without warning. Everybody's circumstances are different, and therefore I can't tell anybody how to prepare for what I anticipate will be this gigantic train robbery, but I can share my strategy, and that is first, zero debt. Eliminate all debt in all forms. Second, I won't have anything to do with a big bank. Any of these JP Morgans, Citi, TD, HSBC, I won't do business at all with any of them. I do keep some money around, but I keep it in a federal credit union, which in my opinion is a lot safer than having it in a big bank. Also, I will keep most of my cash outside the banking system, not in any bank, even a credit union. And this has inherent risks, but I believe those are worth the risk. Next, I keep most of my convertible wealth in precious metals. Buy gold and silver. That's been my motto for a couple of years. In addition, have things instead of currency. Stock up on food, water, guns, ammunition, clothing. Have the things that we will need in the event of a long-term emergency or major transfer of wealth from us little people to the elite and the big banks. That's my strategy. Thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel. Please thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions, enlightening comments, and differing opinions are always welcome. Be safe, everybody.